Last week, we officially launched the Limitless Living Health Action Plan, or LLHP for short. A complete practical blueprint to help you optimize your health, reclaim your energy, reverse anything that's been holding you back. And tonight, we take a deeper dive into the very first pillar, the power of walking to heal your body. If you're serious about reversing metabolic disease, reclaiming your energy, and living limitlessly, it all starts one step at a time. So grab your notebook, settle in, grab something to drink, because tonight, we're not just talking about walking. We're talking about the very first powerful action you can take, that you can truly do, that you can truly engage to change your future. Hey, if you're new to me, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E, and welcome to Dwain Woode MD Live. We're glad that you're here. I'm Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here, I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. We're creating the life we've always wanted. That's right. And we're living a limitless life, which says that we're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful. So welcome. Go ahead, drop a comment, say that you're new, because I'd love to welcome you with a hand clap and some music. And let you know that I am glad that you are here. If you do have questions as we go throughout the episode, go ahead and drop those in the comments as well, and make sure you put a Q in front of it so we know that that is a question that we need to get to. We've got some things that we're going to take a look at here. I've got my monitors that we'll look at in just a minute. I've got my reports that we'll take a look at to see what's been going on with my blood sugars over the last several days since we ended our fast, which was, wow, it seems like such a long time ago now, but just a few days ago. And so we will take a look at that so that you can see what's been happening blood sugar wise. In fact, there is my Keto Mojo and my Contour, and right below me is my Dexcom Clarity Report, which we'll take a look at to see what's been happening with blood sugar. I want to make a push for the Limitless Living Action Plan that we're doing right now. We went over that. We introduced it last week, and there are several pillars, several things that we're going to be talking about. But one of the things that I want you to do, if you've not already done so, we are in our MOVE campaign. We did 100 days of walking, 109 days actually of walking, because we did 100 days of walking, and then we did a mini series called The Bridge to Mastery. And now we are in today's day number 9 of our strength, strategy, and mindset series that we're using. And movement is a big part of our metabolic disease. In fact, there are 2 components that we will talk about as we move throughout our discussions in later episodes that are involving movement. And so movement is a big push, a big campaign that we are using to set ourselves up for metabolic success. In fact, let me go ahead and I'm going to hop over here so you can actually see, and this is one of our episodes. Yeah, let's do it this way. This is one of our episodes. As a matter of fact, this is the one that aired, I think, today. Yeah, this is day number 9. So you want to make sure that you get over there and join us, because as you'll hear here in a little while, that movement is a big, big, big component of the things that we do in order to be successful. So I encourage you to go ahead and join us. That happens every morning at 6 a.m. Like I said, we've done 109 days in the O series, and we are on day number 9 in this part of our series. So make sure that you join us for all of that. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at blood sugars right now. And let's see. So we're going to take a look at my Dexcom Clarity and my Libre, and then a couple of other things that we want to look at as well. Let me do one thing here really quickly. There we go. All right. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at, this is my Freestyle Libre that you're looking at right now. And right now you see that my blood sugar, and we're looking at this graph right here, right in the middle. and you'll see that my blood sugar for most of the day has been 100 or below, and right in the middle of the day we had a little spike. And we'll take a look at what those actual numbers are when I look at the Dexcom, because the Libre doesn't allow me to actually put my finger in and scroll through to see what those numbers are. But the Dexcom does allow me to do that. So let's go over to the Dexcom. And so let's see, let's start with 12 hours. And this gives us similar to what the Libre did. And you'll see there early in the morning, 170s. I guess I should go, we dropped down to 160s up to, and that one was a 200. I'm trying to think what did I have for lunch? Oh, pizza. That was a slice of pizza and one slice of pizza and the cheese off of another slice of pizza. So that's what did that. Look at that from here. That was at 12:56 to 1:56, so about an hour or so. Right up to 2, and then if we go 2 hours out, so 12:1, so 2:56 would be right about here. Let's go back a little bit. Oh, right there, 2:56. And so if you're out there, when you're looking at blood sugars, remember at 2 hours, right? 2 hours, the blood sugar should be below 200. And by the time you get to the next meal, which would be, let's assume that I was eating again, I don't know, let's say 5 o'clock, right? So 5:56. So blood sugar should be less than 140. Okay, so right there. So whatever it started out at 2 hours, it should be below 200. And by the time you get to the next meal, then the blood sugar should be below 140. And so that's, if you're one of our patients, one of our clients, one of our members, that those are the parameters that we've given you. Okay. Now, one of the things that I do want to do is let's go back and we'll take a look at that on the actual report. Why don't we go ahead and do that now? And well, actually, let me do it before I do that. Let's hop over and let's take a look at what my blood sugars are on the monitors. Here's the Keto Mojo, and here is the Contour. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that, and let's grab a strip. And so I've got some new strips. So remember, these are let's see if I can grab those. So these are the old ones, right? I remember we were having some trouble with this, so I ordered some new ones, and so you see they're packaged a little differently. So I'm going to use the new ones. So that is a ketone strip, that is a blood sugar strip, and whoa. Okay, give me just a second because I don't have any. Doesn't look like I have any Lancets in that. Okay, so give me just a minute. Let me grab one. There we go. All right, so I'm back. And so these are the Lancets that I use, at least the ones that I have around here. And I like these because they're just single sticks. Go ahead and open that up and drop some in here. I'm gonna go ahead and take 2 out because I don't want to have to stick myself again. All right, so I've got those, and then I need a strip for the Contour. So let's go ahead and grab that. And you get to see what we have blood sugar wise for 4 different monitors. The 2 continuous monitors, and of course here, these 2. So let's go ahead and open up this one. Now these, I'm gonna see, because I've not used these before, see how easy they are to open. Okay, so not bad so far. Of course I gotta get into it and get that strip out. I think I like the bigger ones because they allow me to, so these are not as simple to get into. Okay. All right, well, that worked. Brute force, okay? Let's go ahead and get that one, and then I'm going to open up the ketone strip as well while that one is running, and I'll struggle with this one, but let's go ahead and Let's get a drop of blood. And so here's my lancet. Okay, and I just grab a finger. Let's do this one. And ow, 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 ow. Ooh, I hope that gives me a good drop of blood because, it did, and then I got rid of it. Did you see that? All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. And get another drop for the contour. And so 105 is what the Keto Mojo says. And you see the contour there says, well, it hasn't come up yet. It says 99, so pretty close to each other. And right now I'm struggling to get the ketone. And I've got to talk to them because I don't like these new packaging strips. Okay, here we are. So let's get a drop of blood. Get that started. What do you think my ketones are going to be, by the way? All right, so I'm not fasting. And you saw the spike there from the pizza. So what do you think that will be? 3, 2, and 1. So 0.3, right? So remember, less than 0.5 is considered normal. 0.5 to 1.5 considered nutritional ketosis, and then above 1.5 is considered therapeutic ketosis. So right now, I'm in the normal range. Blood sugar is between 99 and 103. And then if I pop these guys back up, let's see. All right, so the lowest one right now is the Freestyle Libre, which says 82. So that kind of gives you a range. So when you're looking at blood sugars on your monitor, it is possible that the monitors give you different numbers, right? And people say, well, which one should I follow? I tell people, find one, right? Find one that you like, and that's the one we use, because what we're looking for the trend of that number. Now, that there's a whole discussion that would go into that, because if you're using the blood sugar from the monitor to treat, for instance, taking insulin, then that has another conversation that we'll need to have. But if you are, for instance, right now, if I'm wearing two monitors, right? I've got the continuous monitor, I've got the Libre, and I've got the Dexcom. And the fact that the Libre says 83 and the Dexcom says 130, right? It's normal for someone to look at that and say, well, they're so different. One of them has to be wrong. So which one should I use? And for most of the things that we do, right, in this space, if you're not on medication that you're using to bring that blood sugar down, then it almost doesn't matter, right? Because we're looking for trends. And what I tell people is use two monitors. Like if you have a continuous monitor and you're like, hey, I don't think that's right, use another monitor and get a check. And then you have an idea of how far they are off. For me, the convenience of having a monitor on outweighs any variability that I see, because I have an idea of how different the monitors are. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, and then the other thing that we want to do is let's go ahead and let's look at blood sugars, and you'll see here that my average blood sugar is 117 with a glucose management indicator of 6.1. So if I were to get an A1C, it would approximate a 6.1. I'm in range 98% of the time, range being between 70 to 180. Okay, and then if I look at the actual data from the different days, let's go back and let's start on Friday, because Friday is when we broke our fast, right? So we were in the 100s, in hundreds, 140s. So we broke our fast right in here somewhere, and so went 140, and then Saturday 140s. This was, so we started in the 140s, and remember the spike that you see in the morning for me usually is toothpaste, right? So if I normally if I started in the 60s, like I do when I'm fasting, and I brush my teeth, it will spike up to the 110s, 120s. And so if I started the 140s, then if you add 30 to 40 points to that, that's where we get that 190. So that right there is toothpaste effect. And then we started coming back down during the rest of the day, down, 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 down. And then here is lunch. Okay. And then down for the rest of the day. And then on Saturday or Sunday morning, and Sunday was an interesting day because we had all kinds of things going on. So we had a baby shower, and the meatballs were barbecue meatballs, and so on and so forth. So that's what you see here, right, in this day. And if I look at Monday, you see residuals. You'll see and so most of the day 130s got up to 180, back down to 140, 140, 140, and then into today, and you see the residuals of that, right? So in the 140s for most of the day, and then right before lunch, we dropped down into 120s, and then of course pizza right there, and then back down to where we are right now. And so we're actually now in real time seeing what my blood sugars are as a result, and I have not eaten anything else since lunch. So you're seeing what my blood sugars are in real time compared to where we were before. Okay? Awesome. All right. And let's go ahead and let's hop over and say hello to some of our community members. I see some of you out there. So let's say hello, and then we'll hop into our discussion for tonight. And let's see. And I see Pam. And Pam is saying hello, hello, hello. Let's do this one. Okay, so let's publish Pam. All right, so Pam is saying hello, and then Bowie is out there. Hey, how are you? Thanks for coming through. And so Pam is saying hi to Bowie. And so whatever platform you're on right now, we welcome you. If you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitch, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on Facebook, of course, if you are here on YouTube, I'm glad that you're here. Bowie said, I hit my 10,000 steps for 11 days so far. Yeah. I love it. So with that, I love it. Let me do one more thing here, and then we'll hop into our discussion. Let's see, where is that? And so our discussion tonight is, and Bowie, thank you for putting that in, by the way, because that falls right in line with what we're going to be talking about here tonight as we get into our discussion. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Let's go ahead and let's do that right now. All right. So our discussion tonight is an interesting one because you've joined us at the perfect moment because we're stepping into something very transformative. Last week, we introduced the Limitless Living Health Action Plan. A lot of people have asked me, if I want to improve my health, if I want to start somewhere in terms of reversing my diabetes, if I want to start somewhere in terms of getting my health better and taking charge of that, what's the first place that I should be? And so we came up with the Health Action Plan that is a blueprint, if you will, that says, if I follow these things, if I follow these steps, then this will be the thing that helps me in the direction of being healthy and give me the best possibility of success. Now, why does this come up? In every area of our lives, for most of us, we have a process that we go through. On your job, when they train you in a process. Now, you may adjust the process, you may refine the process over the course of time. You may add here and take away there as you find more efficiency. But there's a process. When you go to, and I just recently renewed my driver's license. When I went to the website, there was a process I had to go through. When I went to the place, by the way, it was like a crazy line. There was a process. We couldn't skip the process. When I get on the airplane, There's a process that the pilots go through in order to get through what they need to do to take off. When I'm in my office and I'm seeing a patient, when you go to the grocery store, when you go to buy a car, when you go to buy a house, in everything there is a process. And in many places they have checklists, right? So we do that first and this first and then, right? What I find is that when it comes to our health, reversing diabetes, improving blood pressure, improving blood sugars, improving our fatty liver, there is no process. It's just a kind of random group of things that we do. And so the health action plan is a blueprint that says, hey, let's walk through this, and let's follow these checklists. Let's understand why we're doing what we're doing. And if we do this, then we're setting ourselves up for the best possibility of success. And you will recall that we went through that last week as we laid out the foundation. We said, think of a house, right? The limitless living house, if you want to call it. You think of a house, and the thing that's holding the house up are the pillars, those supporting beams, or the load-bearing walls that are in the house. Those are the things that's keeping the structure up. And we laid those out last week, and tonight we're going through and doing a deeper dive into the very first one, and that is walking. And over the next several weeks, we're going to walk through each pillar of the plan, one by one. And each one is a powerful concept on its own, but when combined, they create real, lasting transformation. And in this episode, like I said, we're beginning with the very first one, and that is fasting. Walking. And so walking is so much more than what we typically think of. Hey, this is just us, quote unquote, moving. It's a signal to your body. It's a daily declaration that you are taking control, that you are healing, and that you are stepping quite literally into your limitless life. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this amazing process. So walking. And so let's talk a little bit about the biological power of walking. Let's dive into that. So walking isn't just casual movement. It's a biological activator. And it is one of two of the components of the Health Action Plan that are what I would call in part of the MOVE campaign. Most of us go to our work, we go to our jobs, or if we are at home, there is no active time where we are dedicating time to moving to improve our bodies. So I get people to say to me all the time, well, I have an active job. I'm walking all the time. And we'll come to that in a minute. And I love the fact that you have an active time. But here's what's happening inside your body every time you take a step. Number one, there's metabolic activation. So walking triggers fat metabolism at the same time preserving lean muscle mass. So when we walk, and one of the things that we've talked about in the past, and you'll hear me say this, is one of the ways to jumpstart the benefits of fasting when we get there is by activity. And so when we walk, we are automatically setting our bodies up in a space so that it can access all of those benefits that we'll talk about in other pillars as we get to them. So it activates, it triggers fat metabolism. It directly improves insulin sensitivity because in order to move, in order to walk, then our body has to use sugar, which is the power source. It has to use sugar. So that means that sugar levels are dropping. If the sugar levels are dropping, then the amount of insulin that my body needs or requires goes down. And I'm telling you, when we drop insulin, and that's a whole nother conversation. When we decrease insulin, all the downstream benefits that come with decreased insulin come out. As a matter of fact, today in the office, I was talking to someone about the connection between blood pressure and sugar. And most people don't know there's a connection between those two. So when you see a blood pressure, right, everybody thinks, this is due to, and I'm not even sure all the things they think it's due to, but do you know having high blood sugars, having diabetes, having pre-diabetes predisposes you to a high blood sugar or a high blood pressure? So if we can decrease the amount of insulin in our body become more insulin sensitive, then that, by virtue of decreasing the insulin, gives us the benefits that come from that. So one of the very first things is that it is essential, if we're talking about reversing diabetes, it's essential that we become more insulin sensitive. Because what we're saying at that point is that the amount of insulin that my body makes is appropriate for the sugar level that's in my bloodstream. And when that happens, medications go away. It even increases our mitochondrial density. So mitochondria are those powerhouses, if you will, those batteries that are in our blood, that are in our body, in our cells, that are responsible for metabolism. There's that word. So when you eat food, the body converts the food that you eat into a form that then has to go into the mitochondria, that's the battery, and then the mitochondria uses that to power everything else in the body. Which means that if I can increase the number of mitochondria I have better, stronger energy production at the cellular level, which means my energy goes up, which means that my desire to have a normal life goes up. That means my motivation goes up. That means that I have energy, I have power, I have strength to lift myself out of the chair. A lot of people say, I feel so weak. Imagine being able to supercharge yourself so that you can do some of those things. And that is activated by walking. So that's one. That's metabolic activation. Right? That's just one thing. How about hormones? Walking naturally lowers cortisol. We just said that it lowers insulin. It boosts something called BDNF, right? Brain-derived natriuretic factor. And this promotes brain repair and mental clarity. Who thought that I could think better, that I can have the possibility of reversing memory loss, have the possibility of decreasing my progression to dementia simply by walking? It also elevates your serotonin and your dopamine. And we've already said serotonin and dopamine, those are the feel-good hormones. When you're anticipating something good, eating something good, seeing someone you haven't seen for a while, a friend, going back to, it's kind of like when you're going back to visit someplace where you have fond memories. Like you grew up somewhere and you've not been there for years, and you show up and you're like, man, I remember that. That feel good that you have, that comes from dopamine. Every time you eat that Cadbury chocolate, I'm not sure why I say Cadbury, but it is what it is. Every time you eat that, you feel good. Why? Because of dopamine. It makes you happier, calmer, more resilient. And walking also causes blood sugar mastery. So research shows that walking for just 15 minutes after a meal can reduce glucose spikes by 30%. 30%. So let's assume that your blood sugars are 30% higher than normal, and you're on medication that you take to bring that blood sugar down. Simply by walking, the potential for getting rid of that medication goes up. I want you to let that sink in for a minute. 30% decrease in blood sugar without medication. So that means if my blood sugar, and we tell people we want their blood sugar to be between 100 and 120, okay? Let's assume that we say, okay, we want it to be 100. And whenever you eat, your blood sugar spikes up to 130. Make sense? That means then that if you walk afterwards, then your blood sugar, if it goes down by 30%, that means your blood sugar now is in the normal range without medication, without any fancy interventions, just by walking. So walking isn't just moving your legs. It's shifting your chemistry, it's shifting your metabolism, it's shifting your mood, every single step that you take. Now that brings back, right, a thought, right? Because we're going to talk about this in another episode, balanced bites. Every bite counts. So every step that you take, every step counts. So why is walking the first pillar? Right? Why is walking the first pillar? And walking is the first pillar because walking is free. I was going to try to find a different word. It's accessible, right? Whenever we want to start anything, and we're in the process of doing our strength, strategy, and mindset series in the morning. If you've not been there, you want to make sure you get there. Strength, strategy, mindset. And the very first show that we did, the very first episode we did, was about the first rep, right? So rep, we're talking about bodybuilding, lifting weights. And we talked about the first rep because it's the most important. And walking is the first pillar of the health action plan because it is very accessible. There's no gym membership that's required. There's no fancy equipment that you've got to get. There's no expensive classes you've got to join. It is simply getting up and moving. It's moving in your house. It's moving around the block. It's moving down to the mailbox. It's going out back in your yard. In fact, yesterday, I went out to buy, I bought this thing, which we'll talk about here in a minute, right? This is a Fitbit. Okay. And I wanted to see, well, hey, how can I put this thing to use? What can I tell people to do? And we'll do a little bit more here in a minute. But I went to the grocery store, my typical grocery store, and I had it on and I walked around. And I thought, right, simply going to the grocery store, people will tell me a lot of things about, well, it's cold outside, around my area is not safe, I don't have sidewalks around my area. And all that's true. But there's no financial outlay to walk. So I went to the grocery store, walked around, and we'll take a look at my numbers here in just a little while. Okay? So walking, accessibility, it doesn't cost anything. Number two, it's a consistency catalyst. What does that mean? It means walking teaches you to show up every day, even when you don't feel like it. We did a 100-day walk to consistency and health, and we just completed that series 2 weeks ago. It builds a rhythm of daily movement without mental barriers or decision fatigue. You don't have to make a decision. It is getting up and walking. You don't have to decide, I got to go somewhere. It's getting up and walking. I don't have to find the money. It's getting up and walking. Right? No mental barriers. Also, walking prepares us for deeper healing. Walking strengthens your ligaments. It increases your heart rate. It primes your lungs for more intense workout later, right? Later. The stronger your walking habit, the stronger your foundation for every other health goal that you have. I want you to think about that for a minute. All the other health goals that you have, their success can be amplified, supercharged, simply by getting into the habit of walking. You have a history of heart disease. You want to decrease your heart disease risk, your stroke risk. You want to improve your fatty liver. You want to overcome your polycystic ovarian syndrome. You want to decrease your blood pressure. You want to decrease your cholesterol. Start walking. It sets you up for ultimate success down the road simply by moving. Simply by moving. So let's talk a little bit about strategic walking. Right? So, and that's what I was just starting to do. So let's make it practical. So how can you strategically use walking to heal your metabolism? Right? So let's step through this. Number one, there are some baseline things that we have to know. And we'll add more to this in a minute. But where are you right now? Like what do you do? Like how much walking do you do? So yesterday when I went to the store, I said, well, how much activity do I get when I come to the grocery store? And so what I did, right, was I said, okay, I'm gonna deliberately figure out in the store, like how many steps I can get if I walk around this store, and I'm deliberate about it. So what I did was I went to the grocery store. They had 16 aisles. And what I did was I figured out that if I went up and down a aisle, that's about 90, I'll round it up to 100 steps. Right, so go down the aisle, turn around and come back up the aisle, 100 steps. So 16 aisles, right? So 1,600 steps. And then go walking around the store, and I did it twice, right? Because I said, hey, I'm going up and down the aisle, that's 2. So around the store, so each time around was 300. So that's 600. So 1,600 plus another 600, that gives me what, 21? Did I do that right? 22? So 2,200 steps. That's what I thought, y'all. I got my feelings hurt. So I walked around that thing, and this thing told me 1,400 steps. I was like, what? I was like, where are the rest of my steps? But the point is that simply by walking around the store, I was able to get a certain number of steps. And today I went to work, and just in my walking at work, I think when I left work and I got here, I was at 7,000 steps. And then I went and walked around our neighborhood, and that put me above my, let me see what it is right now. I'm going to show this to you guys here in a little while. So that put me at almost 1,300 steps. And that's not doing anything extra above what I typically do. So you can use your phone, you can use a watch, you can use a pedometer, you can get one of these things. I think this one was like $30, $40. I think. No, $60, sorry. I had to think about it. Right, so find your average. From wherever you are. People say, oh, I don't have time. That's a whole nother conversation. If you can do something in 2 minutes, do it. That's the rule, the 2-minute rule. Any action, any behavior, any habit, if it can be done in 2 minutes, do it now. And then we build gradually. We'll give you some parameters about some of those in a minute. So timing. So what's the best time to walk? Right after meal, right? We talked about that here in a minute. So it blunts the blood sugar spikes. That's a great one. First thing in the morning. Tap into your fat burning because your body is primed, right? Because it's ready to grab some fat. It's ready to grab energy. So if you do that in the morning, your body's primed to use that energy that's coming, as opposed to going and eating. Because as we talked about in one of our episodes before, when you eat food, if your body already has enough food or enough energy to run itself, all the food that you're going to do right now is going to get stored. So if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is go walking before you eat, where do you think the body gets that energy from? Well, it has to tap into what's already in here before you put more in. Another great time would be early evening. This lowers your nighttime cortisol and it promotes sleep. So we can be strategic in when we're walking. Also, gamify it. What does that mean? That means use an app, right? That promotes you seeing this. Have fun with it. Right? Have fun with it. Use an app like the one that you're seeing there right now. Right? So 12,857 steps. Tie your walking to something you enjoy. Listen to an audiobook. Listen to a podcast. Right? We've got our 100-day walk to consistency that's out there. Put that on and listen and walk. Use it as a prayer time. A reflection time. Today I went walking and I started on the walk. Right? This is just the connections that are being made. On the walk, I started a new series. On the walk. I'm walking. I say, okay, what am I going to do now? It's called my walking journal. Boom, there it is. So all these things you can do. Make it a game. One of the things that I want to encourage as we're moving through the health action plan is that we are not designing something that you are going to do for a little while and then you're going to put up. We're designing something that we want to be incorporated into your life. It has to be so simple. It has to be so doable. It has to be so usable. It has to be so practical that it's just like getting up and brushing your teeth. That's as simple as we want it to be. Okay? We don't want it to be complicated. We don't want complicated because we don't do complicated. So then there is an interesting concept that I want you to get. And it's called power zone walking. Power zone walking. The question that we have and that everybody struggles with is 10,000 steps the same as 10,000 steps? What does that mean? That means if I get 10,000 steps and it took me all day to get it, 24 hours, or I get 10,000 steps and it took me 2 hours to get them, which one is better? Which 10,000 steps? Now, before I get into this part of the discussion, let me say this, that any walking that you do is beneficial for all the reasons that we just said. Improves your cortisol, it improves your insulin sensitivity, and we go through that entire list. But let's talk about something that almost nobody talks about. When you walk at a brisk pace, where you can still talk, but your heart rate is elevated, you're operating in what we call zone 2. And zone 2 is the optimal fat burning zone. It's where your body burns fat efficiently while preserving your glycogen. Zone 2 training enhances your aerobic base. That means the ability that you have for your engine to sustain energy. It makes every other activity, fasting, strength training, even sleeping, more effective when we're in zone 2. So that means, and let's put some practical words to that. So when I was doing the mini-series, 100-day walk to consistency, I was doing about a 20-minute mile, which means that in an hour, I could do 3 miles. But I was still able to talk and do the show. So my goal would be, if I wanted to be in zone 3, it would be to do closer to a 15-minute mile, which means that I'm walking 4 miles an hour and I'm just able to get some words out as I'm talking. So if you're saying, okay, how do I know if I'm in that zone? That's the marker. If you're able to walk and have a conversation like I'm having right now, then you're not quite at zone 2. And if you're walking and you can't breathe, you're way past zone 2. We don't want that. I mean, somewhere in between. So you can still talk, right? But it's not like you're having a fluent conversation and your heart rate is going up. So zone 2 is optimal. That's where we want you to be. That's the place that we want you to spend your time. So fat is fuel for your health. Walking trains your body to tap into that fuel source naturally and powerfully. When we get to fasting, we will see that when we're in zone 2 fast or walking supercharges our fasting, right? That autophagy that we talk about and the ketosis that we want to get into, all of that is enhanced when we're in zone 2. Another thing you can do, you can use walking as a moving meditation. Beyond metabolism, walking clears your mental process. It centers you. It recharges you emotionally. It makes you emotionally resilient. One of the things that, and I was out today right before this episode, walking, and I took my camera with me. I wasn't planning to do anything with it other than, okay, I'm out walking and I'm just gonna say hi to the community. And when I got out there and I started walking, what was amazing to me was just being out in the open air and having the breeze. And it was a warm day, having the breeze come through, and my brain started processing, just being out there. That's one of the benefits of walking, and zone 2 is an amazing place to be in. Okay. So the next question that we have is the momentum that walking does. How does walking create momentum? So walking allows you to do what's called stacking. You stack wins. So small daily victories that build belief. Here's a great place to talk about something called self-efficacy. Self-efficacy. So self-efficacy is the belief based on data, not just you thinking it in your head, but based on data, based on history. Self-efficacy says that I believe that by making certain decisions, by engaging in certain behaviors, and being consistent, I have the power to chart the course of my life. I have the power to chart the course of my metabolism. I have the power to chart the course of my health. And every time I walk, every step I take, every time I reach a goal, I am adding more data. I'm adding more support. I'm adding more proof that that is the case, that I can trust myself to do what I need to do to take care of my metabolism. I want you to hear me. So every time you walk, every time you successfully complete a walk, however short, however long the walk is, okay, I've decided I'm going to walk, and you do that, you're adding support to your brain, to your mind, to your inner coach, that you believe that you can make a change. So once you start walking, it will be a domino effect, and it creates momentum because you successfully walk, and that says, okay, I'm going to walk again. And you successfully walk that time. It says, okay, I'm going to walk again. You successfully walk, I'm going to walk again. Movement does a lot of other things. Movement improves how your body processes nutrients. Movement brings lubrication to your joints. Movement helps you preserve the ability to move, right? It's kind of like having an old car or an old gear, right? That's been sitting there rusting. Well, it takes a lot to get it moving. Once you get it moving, guess what? That becomes efficient. And so right now, a lot of our joints are stuck. They're not used to being used. And so the movement that we have is difficult. It's tough. But you can do something to improve that. So, and walking creates that momentum. That's why it's a domino. That's why it's the first one. And so then walking and our psychology. Walking and our psychology. And so healing comes not just from what happens on the outside of us. Healing also comes from what's going on the inside. And there is a lot of self-doubt. There's a lot of mistrust between us and our body. We did an episode called How to Trust Your Body Again. There's a lot of pain. And walking is an amazing way to begin dealing with some of those. When we walk, the psychology of taking ownership is powerful. Because I'm not relying on anybody. I'm not relying on medication. All I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, Dr. Woode says that when I start walking, I'm going to have these benefits. And I am taking ownership. And I am doing what I need to do right now to move into that space. And the psychological power of that is amazing. So, what are the 4 key levers of walking? And so there are 4 that I want to talk about. And they are dealing with the intensity. That's the beginner, the intermediate, the pre-professional, and the professional walker. Okay? And so the beginner walker is the walker that is going to do, say, 5,000 steps. They're walking, they're enjoying the air, they're enjoying the flowers. It's a great place to be, particularly if you're not used to walking. Right? So getting started. It is the space where you go out and you're like, man, this is nice. This is a nice neighborhood. I didn't even realize there was a tree there. Look at those clouds. Man, look at that bird. I hear the bird singing. The beginning, the beginner. The intermediate, now we've amped it up a little bit. And so we're going to talk about maybe 8,000 steps. And now you're walking and you're still noticing things, you're enjoying it, but you're a little brisker. The pre-professional is about 10,000, a little over 10,000, maybe 12,000 steps. And the professional is 15,000 steps. Now, on average, you've heard people say, hey, you should walk about 10,000 steps. And the question a lot of people ask is, where did that come from? Well, when they looked at what are called blue zones, these are people who live long and are healthy. They don't have a lot of medical issues. And what they found is, on average, those people walk about 10,000. It went anywhere from 8 to 12, but on average 10,000 steps. So that's where 10,000 came from. And then adding to that the intensity that we just talked about. So our goal for you, if you are currently not walking, our goal for you is to become a beginner. Number 1, become a beginner. So get out there, get one of these devices, use your phone, use an app, 5,000 steps, beginner. And we're not looking for you to run a marathon, okay? We just want you to move. Remember our campaign, our MOVE campaign is 2 components. It is walking and strength training, by the way. Let me say that together so you know. So we're going to come in another one of our pillars is actually strength training. But right now, walking as a beginner, 5,000 steps. An intermediate, we're shooting now for 8,000 steps. 8,000 steps. That is, you're doing around your job, right? On your job, most people will get at least 5,000 steps. So for the beginner, just doing your stuff at work, right? Approximate 5,000, and then you just maybe have to add a little bit more to that to give you perspective. 8,000 steps, you're about 5,000, 6,000 at work, and so you say, okay, I got to get some more. Now I go to my grocery store and I walk through the grocery store. Now I've got my 8,000. I'm trying to put some practical numbers to this. The 12,000, which is the next one, the pre-professional, is, okay, I went to work. Just around work, I got my 5,000. I went to the grocery store and I got me up to my 8,000. And now I want to push that a little bit more. So when I come home or before I go to work in the morning, right, I get to work early and maybe I walk up the stairs, or maybe I park a little farther and I walk to the building and then walk back in the afternoon. That gives me my 12,000 steps. And then for the professional, you've done all the things that we've talked about in terms of the other three, but now you say, okay, I need to up my game. And so like I did today, I came home and I went out before the show and I walked a little bit around my neighborhood. Now I didn't do the whole thing because I had to come here and do the show, but that's our goal for you. Beginner, intermediate, pre-professional, and professional walker. That is what you are doing over the next week. Right? Find some days. And we're saying that when you're walking, we want you to walk wherever you are. That is a goal per day. Per day is what you're doing. The Limitless Living Health Action Plan is an amazing blueprint. If you follow that blueprint, you are setting yourself up for the best possibility of reversing the disease processes along the metabolic spectrum. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, fatty liver, polycystic ovarian syndrome, obesity, prediabetes, and diabetes. Not to mention a whole host of other things. And this is what the space we're in. This is the first pillar. It's a domino. And we're coming back over the next several episodes to talk about each of the pillars. And I want you to be in the process of coming along with us, because this is our checkbox. This is our checklist. Just like you get on the airplane and the pilot gets in there and they're doing the checklist, just like you do on your job and they do a checklist at your job, or just like you go to the grocery store and you got a list of things that you're going to buy, this is your list. Let's use it to set ourselves up for the best possibility of reversing the diseases that we are so plagued by. All those metabolic diseases that come from metabolic dysfunction. Number one in our pillar is walking. Not just moving, but taking a step in the direction of taking care of our health, because it's up to us to do what we need to do to be successful and to be healthy. All right, so, here we go. So that was our very first pillar, walking, an amazing process, an amazing, people negate walking because, that is so simple. That's not going to do anything. I promise you that it is beneficial. And simply by incorporating it into what you do on a daily basis, you will get amazing benefits from that. Okay? All right. So we will be back later this week as we continue our walk through our limitless living journey. We'll be fasting, right? So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we'll be doing our check-ins. On Friday, of course, we'll do our complete review of fasting. On Saturday, video from the vault. on Sunday, This Week in Review, and then we'll be back next week as we go to the next pillar in our Limitless Living Health Action Plan. I want to encourage you as you are walking along with us. Don't let these things just be stuff that you listen to on the show. Don't just let them be things that are going in your head. It is very much an action-oriented path. The things that we talk about, they gain power, they gain their benefit when you are participating. When you get out, just like we just talked about walking, get out and walk. Don't think about walking. Don't plan to walk. Get out and walk. Everything we do is based on our Triple E formula for success. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. We educate with the shows, just like we just did, talking about walking. What are the benefits of walking? What's the power of walking? Why do we walk? How can we walk? What are the targets for walking? Right? It's a mindset thing. It's a change. It is a growth mindset that says I can make a change because I'm efficacious. I have the ability. If I make decisions and if I behave in a certain way and if I am consistent, I can determine what the course of my health is going to be. That's what I want you to get from this, right? Number one, we educate. We empower with the tools that we're learning, right? The walking, the strength training series that we're doing, the fasting series that we're doing, Balance Bites. When we get to that, we'll talk about that more. All the things that we're doing, these are tools that allow you to put into practice the things that we're talking about, the things that we're learning. That's the power of this path. That's the power of this journey that we're on. We're not just saying, okay, go do this stuff, but we're giving you those tools that you need, practical things every day that you can say, okay, that is something that I can do. And then we encourage with the amazing community that we are part of. If you are not in our community, you are missing out. Let me say that, okay? If you're not, we have an amazing community that is supporting each other as we are moving through this path together. It's nothing like thinking you're by yourself, but then realizing that there are other people on the journey. Other people are having the same struggles. Other people are having some successes. Other people are in the same space. They have the same questions. I don't have to explain to them when I say, hey, I went out and I ate whatever. Or I'm struggling with this. I'm struggling with that. Because they understand. Because guess what? We're all in it together. We educate, we empower, and we encourage. And so I encourage you to, when you show up, join in. Don't just let things be on the shelf. Begin actively doing with us the things that, wherever you are, right? Some people say, oh, well, I can't walk 5,000 steps. That's a goal for the beginner. That doesn't mean like tomorrow you're going to walk 5,000 steps. Wherever you are is where we're starting. And if you're walking 5,000, oh my goodness, I can't get to 8,000. You don't know that until you try it. So begin when you show up. I want you to get involved, get in there, put some action into the things that we're learning. And then there are over 1 billion people on the planet right now who have diabetes or pre-diabetes. Not to mention the people who have heart disease, who have had strokes, people who are obese, people who have metabolic syndrome, people who have polycystic ovarian syndrome, people who have fatty liver, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, on and on and on and on and on. Those people are out there and they need you to say to them, we don't have to keep having these diseases. We don't have to keep living like this. We don't have to keep going blind, going on dialysis, losing limbs. We can be better and bring them along. Point them to one of our playlists. Point them to the fasting episodes that we're doing. Point them to the 100-day walk to consistency. Point them to the strength training. Say, come on, we are in the process right now of walking through the health action plan. These are practical things that you can do in your everyday to improve your health. Come on, let's go do it together. I want you to be a voice in your community, in your church, in your doctor's office, in your family, in your friend group, wherever you are. The things that you can bring to that, the value that you can bring to that group, the power that you bring to that group, and the longevity you bring to that group is amazing. just by you saying, hey, I know a place. So I encourage you to do that, and I encourage you to come on back and to hang out with us as we move through the rest of this week. I'm always excited when I'm here being with you and talking with you and learning and growing together. I look forward to seeing our community members in our community meetup, in our after the show here in a little while. Come on through. The link will show up in the membership area. Thank you for being here. This is Dr. Dwain Woode. That's Wood with an E. The E stands for endocrinology. Here I educate, I empower, and I encourage you to take charge of your health and your life, avoid complications, and go to the next level. And we are creating the life we've always wanted. We're living a limitless life that says that we are not constrained by the obstacles and the boundaries that are here. We're breaking free. We're not allowing anything from outside or anything from inside to prevent us from doing what we need to do to be successful. We're presenting our best self, our best health, and our best plans for our lives. We'll see you later at our next episode. Good night, everybody.